What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today we are looking at Roobet Cup 2023. And Sydney playoffs went really badly. In the end, it was FaZe who beat ENCE and then won the whole thing. Complexity also managed to surprise G2. And I mean, most of my players are on minus points, so not much to write home about here. It just happens, especially CS2 first big event. I think there's really no knowing who's gonna beat who, but we go again. Let's see. So for Roobet Cup, I already kind of looked at how last year the playoffs were seeded, because this is actually for the whole event. This is not just for the groups, so it's gonna also matter which side of the bracket your teams go to. So if we pick the winners of two groups, we want them to play against each other as late as possible, for example in the finals. So Group A and B play against each other, or the Group A winner and B winner play on one side, and then Group C and D play on another. So you don't want to pick from Group A and B or from Group C and D, most of your players. And you'd rather go for a combination of Group A and B or C, Group A and C or D, or Group B and C or D. Quickly going through which teams I think will do well here. So Heroic don't have Cadian. I wouldn't pick them. I honestly just don't think without Cadian there's much identity there right now. I think it's gonna be a weird event for them to play. We don't even know who their last player is. Gonna avoid them. I think Eternal Fire are this kind of online team that should be able to make it out of this group. I think they are favorites, and then maybe Furia, maybe Aurora, or maybe even Heroic is going to make it alongside them. But I would go with Eternal Fire here if I went for any of the teams in Group A. Then we have Group B, Movistar 9Z, VP Spirit. So I would say VP Spirit is the important game. Like the winner of that, I would expect to win their group. I probably favor Spirit slightly, mostly because they're in an online scene. I think Donk has been so incredible. So I would favor going with Team Spirit here. But VP is very, very viable. 9Z and Movistar are also kind of decent, but it's harder to recommend them. These groups in general are just pretty tight. I would say C and D even more so than others. So Astralis 9, big Apex, very hard to predict. I guess Astralis are kind of favorites, but 9 when it's online. Apex and Big are definitely good teams. Sorry, I have something in my throat. Then, yeah, so I would probably stay away from Group C if you can, unless you want to gamble on like an Astralis maybe. Then Group D, I would say Monty are the favorites, but OG and IP Fnatic all are very capable as well. So these are the most picked players. Donk and Chopper up there. Dexter, Device, Bro, Config, Res, and Borup. A lot of players who kind of probably make sense, especially if you look at their prices. My initial instinct is to go for a combination of Monty and Spirit. Spirit, definitely including Donk, if I can if it's at all possible. He's actually kind of affordable for the level of input he's putting. Yeah, I think he's just enough worth for his money. Chopper probably gonna be the player we want alongside him just because of the price. Players like Artfrost have been pretty impressive, and honestly, all of these players are pretty decent picks. But probably for budget reasons, I think Chopper is the one to go for. And then we go Monty. Probably Krasnal. He's actually been kind of the most improved player in this lineup. Also, Bro has been kind of putting up some better stats than before. So if we go for these two, with 190, you can afford one of these players, preferably from a group that we didn't pick yet. So that would mean either Group C or A. Maybe an Eternal Fire player if we have enough for one of those. Probably tough. I would probably want it to be Calyx, who's actually quite a bit better online than offline. But 5k is pretty hard to find here. Pretty impossible. Major I would find decent. I do think Eternal Fire is probably winning their group. I could see Cello being a decent option as well for 183. For 7k more, we can actually... We can't really upgrade Bro into anyone, but we could go for some Die Young and then... Where is he? Then Cello. Like, that's a pretty decent team. I am kind of double... Well, I'm not so sure about Monty. I think the prices are just pretty tough. Maybe it's time to go for a gamble on one of these different teams. It could very well be an OG event. Who knows? I'm just not sure. Like, Regali is so cheap. Like, I did this in another event where I went double OG and it didn't really pay off. But this is a very different event. I wouldn't go 9. Big Apex. Astralis. So, like, Astralis players are pretty expensive. I wouldn't go there. I do want to go Spirit. I don't think it's VP. Calyx as this 5th player is kind of intriguing to me. For whatever reason, feel like that might be the play. I can see like Apex being a decent shout here. They're quite low ranked, so they have quite affordable prices. So if we go Calyx and Hawk, 6 or Sense. Oh yeah, they're playing with Sense, right? They don't have Eco anymore. Might make them a more difficult pick. What about Big? Big is a team that I could see myself picking. It's just weird because they're very even in stats. I think all of them could be having a decent event. I think the prices just aren't there for Big. I think they're not worth it. I wouldn't go Ninjas or Fnatic, I don't think. What are the Ninjas prices like? I guess they are very cheap going into this, like res and config. But they also haven't done anything for a pretty long time. I think Headtrick's a decent pick, maybe. Ninjas also haven't really had any other game. Like, they haven't really played at all for a while now, right? What have they played in? They played in EPL like over a month ago, well over a month, almost 2 months ago. They played in an EPL. They don't really play anything. They missed the Sydney qualifier, right? They didn't play. They lost the slot to BetBoom. This is of course CSGO still. But I can't see myself picking NIP because they're honestly not even playing the game right now. Maybe that makes Fnatic a better pick. What about Fnatic prices? What are we looking at? Fnatic. So they played in Sydney. How well did they play in Sydney? Why is it giving like very old Sydney events as first? Yeah, Fnatic 9th to 12th. I want to see who they kind of lost to. That's way more interesting and important. Group B. So they beat Cloud9, they lost to ENCE, and they lost to Monty. Okay. I think this is a very telling one. Oh, and very badly they lost to Monty on 2 maps. That definitely makes me more likely to pick Monty here. But I could see myself going with Fnatic as well. It's not like Monty were like super impressive here, but how were players like Bro? So how was that in he was actually he was kind of popping off here. So maybe that makes him the player you want to pick. Krasnal in general, I think I've seen his stats be quite positive in general, yeah. Worrell, I think he was good. Yeah, he wasn't that amazing. And these are like some of their first CS2, like, of course this is on LAN as well, which might make their stats a bit different, but I think this double up on the cheap Monty players, I think Monty has a lot of potential. Like the question is, who do I want to pick? Someone like a Broland though is an option now. Oh no, he isn't, because we're Monty group. This is the problem, right? Can't pick OG either, they're in the same group. Everyone's in this group. Big 9, Apex, Australis, I don't think any of them have options that I'd be very excited by. Like Major is one of those options. I could go for Dexter for 173, but he's again in the same group with Monty. I'm just going through every tab here. I think Dexter could be a really nice enabler though. Like that price is really low for a team like Fnatic. I think he's way better at fragging than someone like Inio, to be honest. 173, it would make it possible to go for some more expensive players here. Like we can't really go for super expensive players from Australis. I'm not also so convinced by Australis, especially in an online map or a match. I probably am not going Dexter. I think I'm just going for these cheap Monty players. I could go Sumdai Young with Bro instead of Krasnal, and then it makes more sense with the money if you go for someone like Cello. And Cello definitely could be a very good budget option as well. I think this is probably the team that I'm going with. I was already playing around with my lineup, so don't care too much. This is probably the best role for you. There's no Opper. Headshots pretty easily goes onto Cello. And probably actually support is very good on Chopper, isn't it? Both support and eco-friendly. I think eco-friendly is even better apparently. IGL. I think eco-friendly probably makes the most sense here, especially going into like PS2 as well. I think there's more SMG plays at times. Sumdai Young, he's always this kind of player where he's very decent in a lot of things, but there's no good role for that. No. Maybe defender is the one to go for. What about Bro? Bro is probably gonna have to be leader. Go for that, and then defender. Not the best roles on the Monty players, but you know, if they win a lot of games, you would expect Sumdai Young to be at a high defender rating, and then Bro would get those leader points. I'm okay with this lineup. It's putting a lot of eggs into this basket. It's not the least or the most different team from what a lot of people are picking, but I think it's still very decent. In terms of boosters, so VP again, first off, is very difficult. I wouldn't go KAST here. I'd rather go like Topo Scorecard. Here, probably like assist, or I don't know what would be good. I suppose Farmer makes sense. Here, Avenger. I think Avenger makes sense. This against OG makes sense. All I think. And then we'd go heads. We'd go against who? Eternal Fire. I think Eternal Fire is one of the tougher ones. So I would say bait makes the most sense. I think this is one of the tougher matchups for Fury in this group. It's very dependent, I think, on the first round matches. It is like BP, OG, and Eternal Fire all could win, and then these lineups are super poor. But I'll take the gamble with this. If you enjoy this kind of content, remember to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I post a video about every non-partner league fantasy event, HLTV. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.